Few people in today's world are more despised than Vladimir Putin. There is no doubt Putin is making many horrible decisions to insulate himself from the tide of history. Nevertheless, not many people understand both his life and his ideas. Putin was born on October 7, 1952. As a teenager, Vladimir Putin's life was marked by discipline and a strong desire to improve oneself. When he was a student, he displayed a strong interest in sports, especially in martial arts. When he became 14, he started training in judo, the sports Putin enjoys even these days as the earner of a black belt. His experiences in judo taught him how to stay focused and to think strategically. Putin then went to Leningrad State University to study law from 1970 to 1975. It is worth mentioning that Putin joined the Communist Party of the Soviet Union as a mere college student. This suggests both his passion for strong Russia and desire to be politically successful. Such an effort allowed him to be part of the KGB, one of the most powerful intelligence agencies in world history. Nevertheless, his time at the KGB was different than many people expected. Unlike James Bond, he did not assassinate foreign figures. Unlike Ethan Hunt, he was unable to climb a skyscraper. His job was rather political. Assigned to the KGB's Foreign Intelligence Division and stationed in Dresden, East Germany, he recruited agents and gathered intelligence on NATO and the West. He learned much about the West's political landscape, military capacity, and technological progress. His home country, however, could not do so. In 1991, the Soviet Union fell because of Mikhail Gorbachev's premature attempts to liberalize the Soviet economy and its government. Boris Yeltsin, who successfully stopped the coup staged by militant communists in August 1991, became the first president of the Russian Federation. His presidency was, however, full of missteps. Yeltsin tried to alter the Russian economy into a capitalistic one too quickly. One of its side effects was to allow a tiny group of oligarchs to own many state-owned enterprises. Such a widening gap between the rich and poor was further exacerbated by the corrupt government officials under Yeltsin. Putin, who was working for Yeltsin in Moscow since 1996, became the head of the FSB, the successor to the KGB. Putin did his job well enough to make Yeltsin appoint him as his prime minister in 1999. A few months later, Yeltsin suddenly resigned as president, making Putin as an acting president. Putin gained an opportunity to garner huge support thanks to Yeltsin. On March 26, 2000, Putin easily won over Gennady Zyuganov, a communist candidate, to be the next president of Russia. Putin immediately started fixing the Russian economy. He first went after the oligarchs owning much of Russia's oil and natural gas. For example, Yukos, a large Russian oil company, was dissolved by Putin. After consolidating his influence over natural resources, Putin started selling them to the rest of the world so that the Russian government can spend more money on welfare programs and basic infrastructures. Many Russian people's living standard could therefore rise. The problem was that he could not diversify the Russian economy. Under his rule, Russia could not be part of the technology-driven growth of the global economy. His assertive foreign policies further complicated this issue. Although he's not a communist, he's always tried to make Russia to regain the glory of the Soviet Union. The 2008 Russo-Georgian War is a great example. Georgia, which was part of the Soviet Union that gave birth to Joseph Stalin, became an independent nation in 1991. However, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, two of the regions within Georgia's border, wanted to separate from Georgia as well. When they were seeking Russian support, Georgia pursued closer ties with the West. On August 7, 2008, Georgia invaded South Ossetia after underestimating Putin's will to power. Russia immediately sent soldiers to Georgia, causing hundreds of casualties. Although the war itself lasted for 5 days, it showed to the world that Russia is fully prepared to use military force whenever its key interest is damaged. Although the size of the Russian economy cannot back Putin's aspiration, he has overcome it through effective intimidation and strategic alliances. Most importantly, Russia has been using its export of oil and natural gas to Europe as a leverage. As most European countries, including Germany, are in desperate need of Russian energy, the European Union cannot employ a drastic measure against Russia. Russia has also been accused of interfering in foreign elections. For example, many people suspect that Putin helped Donald Trump to be the American president by orchestrating the cyber attacks on the Democratic National Committee. On the other hand, Putin is constantly trying to build a good relationship with China and India. It is no coincidence that Xi Jinping chose Russia as the first foreign country to visit after securing his third term. India also likes Russia as it wants to reduce Chinese influence. India remains as one of rare countries that has yet to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The United States and Western Europe are therefore facing a lot of difficulties in building an international coalition against Putin. Putin's greatest enemy will perhaps be his own citizens. Until Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, most Russian people had welcomed Putin's expansionism. Those Russians who still miss the Soviet era love his projection of strength. Even when Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, Russian society broadly supported the decision. The West, continuously condemning Putin, and the Russian media controlled by the government also play a vital role in sustaining Putin's popularity. However, this time is different. It is no secret that numerous Russians are criticizing Putin's decision to attack Ukraine, as well as his inability to win the war quickly. Although the West is not pursuing the removal of Putin, there are many politicians in Russia who can replace him. Putin has already lost much of his political legitimacy, as no one in the world can say that Putin is not a dictator. This is why Putin assassinates reporters and imprisons political figures. This must stop, both for Russia and for himself. Sudden death of Vladimir Lenin paved the way for Joseph Stalin to wield enormous political power for 29 years. He not only won the Second World War, but also succeeded in the two five-year plans. However, Nikita Khrushchev, who became the next Soviet premier after the death of Stalin in 1953, started the process of de-Stalinization without a moment of hesitation. Multiple reports suggest Putin is sick. He must understand his cult of personality will disappear after his death.